Hey, EDUC112 Nation, how are you guys? I hope you're having a great week. I'm in my backyard. Take a little peek in my backyard. My daughter had to bring her trampoline in, or bought a trampoline to deal with us. So she's working from San Francisco and needed some energy to deal with mom and dad. So that's the backyard. Made you guys my little 4th of July thing. I got Mr. and Mrs. Uncle Sam flag and all that good stuff. So, hey, so good to talk to you. Heading down the home stretch. We've got this week and next week, give you guys some extra days because of the holidays and all the things we're dealing with. I won't forget teaching a class during COVID and what we dealt with all the race and protests and all that. It was a very interesting time. I really wish we got to spend like a full day together one time, but maybe we'll do that some other time. So I'm going to walk through assignment 5, but also give you some help with dealing with your assignment at the end. Have an exciting week for you, and want to start. I'm going to share my screen and go through a PowerPoint with you, and so bear with me for one sec. And there we go. Let me see. There we go. Let me get back here. So super interesting in the end with our state budget that you've been hearing about. Our governor decided to really support schools. So very proud of all the work that legislators did, my staff around all over. A lot of parents called in, which was really wonderful. I saw Elk Grove District had a board meeting yesterday, and 1,400 parents wrote letters in about COVID. And so I think it really, all this energy around let's protect the kids and the schools helped. And the trickle of that is career tech ed was not touched at all, right? Which is pretty historic considering how bad our budgets are. But it shows you how much passion people have to teach our kids, our adults, career tech ed. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we've learned, where we're going, and what's coming up over the next week. So give me 15, 20 minutes of your time. And again, I'm always available for you guys. Please call, text. I've been loving talking to some of you. And for those of you a little bit behind, keep me in the loop. I'm here to work with you. I do like to post grades by the 19th. That's my projected date. If everybody's done, I'll do it earlier. But work with me if you're having some trouble keeping up. I want everybody to finish and don't want anybody to fail, but it's up to you guys to communicate to me before things get locked down. So we're going to talk about what we learned, but really you're becoming an activist for career tech ed. It's going to be your degree. It's going to be embedded in what you do, and you're going to learn more about it as you grow and in your career and as you share your knowledge with others. And I think Ross Perot, I think he wrote, this is a really good quote, I think. A lot of us complain and say, oh, look, that's dirty, or schools suck, or do whatever, instead of saying, let's clean it up. Let's fix schools. Let's get more kids into hands-on training. Let's do what's right. And that's what you guys are going to be. That's what you guys are working on and becoming. And that's kind of what the end of this project is going to be about, is listening to you be an activist of something passionate about you in the area of career tech ed, workforce, and everything. So I just want to quickly review what we've gone over, right? Because I know things are moving. You guys got a theater class. I'd love to see you guys do some theater. I hope you watch Hamilton. It's going to be on Disney starting tonight at midnight. Someone wants to share their Disney code. I'm getting it from my daughter. But it's good to see Hamilton's going to be on. I'd like to see you guys do a Hamilton play with your theater class, but I hear you guys are doing all kinds of other stuff. But we started out with learning, what is your why? What's your passion? What's your story? Why are you getting your degree, and what are you going to do with it? And really take a deep breath and look deep and see who you are. Most of you wrote your why, but actually thought your why was your what. And your why is a deep thing inside your soul about what you're doing. Then I went through and saved you guys a 400-page book to read. But we looked at the history of CTE in 50-year increments. And it's just amazing how CTE has always been there to impact our country. Whenever there's been a world war, a crisis, a civil rights issue, a recession, a depression, people have always turned to CTE. I think when things are going well, people just forget about it. But when it really is needed to jumpstart this country, we go back to learning technical studies. We go back to getting people to work. We go back to teaching them a trade. We've upgraded CTE to include health now, computer science, esports, whatever you want to do. So the history of 200 plus years of career tech, starting from that first apprenticeship program in the mid 1800s all the way to today, really is a vital part of our history. And you guys will see, we're heading to a really bad recession, it looks like, and the government will use career tech ed to help retrain people, get people back into employable fields. If things like the travel industry are kapoof, then you got to come up with ways to train people that work in the travel industry into something else. And we seem to always rebirth ourselves, and we always seem to find different ways. And I think we can take a look at what's gone on with career tech ed and really this whole, let's say, Amazon world, right? Or Walmart, or ordering from home. And soon you're going to start to see robots deliver your goods directly to your house. And the jobs behind that are many, right? They may be less rote and may be more technical, but that's why CTE is here. So we've always been part of the history. We're going to be a big part of the history to get out of this recession and COVID thing, and we'll move on. I really enjoyed our conversation with you all about racism and the impact really in our country, but really about career tech ed and how people have a bias that career tech ed or voc ed was where we put those kids, and now it's moved to the forefront. We want all kids in there. And I just want to say, and I kind of want to go back to that quote by Ross Perot. My thing about racism, institutional bias, and all that is a lot of you are going to end up going to have a lot of discussions about it, go to a lot of trainings. Some of you are going to get certified in it, especially if you get in the field of teaching. They're going to be putting a lot of that together. I'm way more of a person who says, go do something. You want to change racism? Go help somebody out who is not like you, who needs help, who's down and out. Go do something instead of talk. A lot of people like to talk. These college professors like to come out and tell us, hey, if you study this book, you're going to be more well-rounded. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go help a kid who's homeless or foster or who is in a broken home and get them on their feet, get them a job and mentor them. That will change more about race and race relations, and it's the right thing to do. Okay, you also had a chance, and I wish we could take a deeper look at all the things going on locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally. But that document that I gave you and those access you may look into deeply, believe me, with your career tech degree, you can go overseas. You can go work in a military institution with other schools throughout the world, nationally. California, I think, is in the forefront of a lot of career tech ed with our pathways and with our community colleges. So your degree is going to take you where you want to go. And again, my email is not going to change, you guys. It's tim@ssda.org. I'll be working there for a while, tim@ssda.org. And if you need help getting yourself figured out what you want to do, I can connect you to the right dots. You've begun to hear from our lobbyists and activists that work with a common message about knowing their why and their purpose. And I think that has been very helpful for you. We're going to add a couple more to you over the next couple days. And then lastly, we started to go through what the legislative process, and I'm going to do a little bit more of that tonight, and had you take a look at a CTE hearing, right? And remember, that hearing that you looked at in Long Beach was worth over $550 million. And again, if you did watch the hearing at the whole length of it, you can see the kids and the teachers and the principal were what make the impact, because they really are in the depth of it. So as you do your presentation, that's key, because all day long legislators hear from bureaucrats like myself or these lobbyists. Hearing from students, from very passionate people is the key. So that's what we've learned, you guys. I like to go back through that. That's what good teachers like to do. And again, I think you can hold on to some of the things I've given you and use them for other classes as well. So you allow your passion to become your purpose, and it'll one day become your profession. Now, many of you have told me that you are doing some soul searching or you like your job. That's the key, is to find your passion. I told you my passion is to help out at-risk youth and adults, and it's made it become my profession. I like to fight for the underdog, and that's what I do. You'll find yours. So make your, but a lot of times you only get a couple minutes to do that, right? You're going to get your 2 minutes, but you got to do something with it, and you're going to be excited about what we're going to do next week to help you get to that point. Again, I think the discussion I gave you, you also need a tagline, right? So I like using that one I told you, people fund people, not ideas. I love that one, right? I use some of these lines all the time. Instead of being, if you want to do something to change the world, go do something for a kid. And you stop people, you know, because they like to talk and talk and talk. Go do something. So create some quotes or taglines that meet your needs. So how does all this work, right? The title of our class is Legislation and Finance, and even grant writing and all that. And I'm going to go through 4 quick things with you to set the stage how this works and how do bills get passed? How do these huge mega $100 million bills get passed? How do small things get passed? How do policies get passed? And it really all starts with a calendar. So hope you can read this. If not, let me know. But basically, in the cycle in California, and I would say throughout the country, around January, they start to come together right after the holiday. And then the first budget from the governor comes out. And then after the budget comes out, you have time to start working on legislative bills that you hope get funded or change policy, right? So January is kind of the set the stage time. You only have to the end of February to get a bill locked in. Now, some bills are in draft, they're very much in draft form, but you got to put something together by February. Between really February and June, there's a lot of positioning going on. The governor does do a May revise, and I apologize for not having that in there. But in mid-May, he looks at the budget and the numbers and kind of readjusts things. And he begins to show what legislative bills are going to be passed. And then you really, once the budget's passed, there's about 2-month window to pass the legislation at the Senate and the Assembly pass the bills. And then the governor has about a month to sign them. So that's the cycle, and it goes like that pretty much throughout. The Fed cycle is a little different, but even I would say, and if you're going to present to a local workforce board or a Rotary and those, they kind of use the same fiscal year. They obviously don't have the $200 billion budget the state has, but there's some form of a calendar for proposals, grants, and allocating money. So this is how it goes, you guys. Kind of get through Christmas. All of a sudden a budget comes out, come up with ideas for bills, and you move forward. And all year long, you're thinking of things to add on to that. So from that, really it's about issues, right? And as we said, if we look at career tech ed, issues drive most legislative decisions. So the state of the world, whether it's a recession or, hey, we want to become the greatest technology state in the world, or we want to really go more into performing arts and theater. That's how the states and locals kind of dictate the issues, and then they put their money where their mouth is, right? So if whether it's a recession or new workforce training, you know, the unemployment rate, CT is always fitting in. And it starts locally, it kind of moves up the food chain to countywide, statewide, and CTE will always be at the center of a lot of issues. As you go through your life, you'll see CT is always right there. The national issues really become what does the president support? What's happening nationally to get people on their feet? What's the national unemployment like? How's the stock market? And all those play into issues that drive legislative decisions, right? There's also some things behind the curtain. So, for instance, if you're like chair of a committee or if you're the head of the Senate, you usually get a few perks for doing that tough job. And you'll see that like the chair of the Senate or Assembly, wow, they got a $500,000 bill to help out with their problem with like maybe a local beach problem or a park problem or something else. It's very specific to the people that are running the Senate and Assembly, and that's part of the perk of doing all that extra work. So basically, issues drive decisions. What really I look at it is this. There's three things that play in the majority of everything we do with legislation, budgets, policy, and it's really politics, right? And I'm using career tech here. Politics and career tech ed. A lot of people get in position and go, we got to get kids to work. We got to do that. And the politicians use that to get elected, and then they use it to drive their initiatives. It's also very much about people, right? The people that are very important, whether it's the governor, whether it's a assemblyman or senator, whether it's a person, they can really upgrade. So that's why we talked about the Carl Perkins Act, right? Carl Perkins was very much into CTE. He was a famous legislator, and he put that act in the early 80s for us. But mostly it's really, to me, about passion, right? You hear people go, we have to get more kids to work. Not everything's about college, and you can tell they're passionate about it. They've got a very strong message, and that's what helps decide legislation, policy, and finance. Are really those three things mixed together. So again, I think it's very important not to be a whiner, right? So if you're going to do a presentation, the one thing you don't want to do is tell them everything that's wrong. You're giving them the solution, right? So you'll see this a lot in these race talks is people will say, here's the problem, here's the problem, here's the problem, and then nothing ever is done except for some protests or other things. The real people get things done. They focus on results, focus on ideas, and again, they have a story. You guys all have a great story. I've gotten to know each one of you in some capacity, and you have a great story to tell, which helps you sell what you are passionate about. And let's not beat around the bush. The more I've learned these things, these lobbyists, these advocates, these people that are well respected get things done. You know, a lot of these times we have these great ideas and then people can't do that. And they do it by this. A great lobbyist is a connector. They know a lot of people and they know them very closely, and they use that connecting ability. Connectors are a very rare breed, but when you find one, they're great. They know the whole playing field. They've got years of experience. They let you know what you can and can't do. They tie the loose knots together. I was very naive when I first started out in my early 30s about this. And I go, well, what do you mean they're not going to support something for foster youth? And they would go through the pros and cons, what I was facing in my first bill, and they really do help improve your chances. They earn their stripes, they give up some stripes, they get some back, and they help. So that's what you learn. That's kind of how the process works, and now it's up to you. So really, we got about a week or so to get some things done. So today, your assignment for this week, which really is also your assignment for your 2-minute video, is you're going to have to select a legislator who you're going to you're going to present to, right? And so today you're going to learn how to be an advocate, but you're also going to learn how to find the right legislator to support your bill, all right? So my idea was, you're not going to be in a big Senate room. You're going to this person's office, and you got 2 minutes to tell them what you want to do. That's the whole gist of getting your policy grant legislative bill together. So I'm going to switch over and show you another document and then walk you through how to do that. So this assignment's about picking a legislator to support your bill. I would appreciate it if you tell me what you're going for. And if you're having trouble aligning the right legislator to support your things, let me help you. Just send me a quick text or email. And if you say, Tim, I want to do something with foster youth, I'll tell you who's good at foster youth. I can help you do that. You can also find it. So really the goal here is to study your audience, which is your legislator. Let me stop for a second and pull this one document up. Oh, sorry. Oh. I want to minimize it. Okay, give me a second. Share screen and pull this up. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay. You guys can see that. Darn it. Give me a second. Be patient. It was here. You don't want to look at my budget. You don't want to look at that. So I'm just going to have to talk and see what happens. So basically, I'm going to give you a sheet that tells you how to be a legislative advocate. It tells you, you know, all the things we talked about, being passionate, being, you know, committed, tactful, enthusiastic. But one of the things you want to do is build your relationship with your legislature. And so you may have to do that by studying them. So when you go to your legislator's website, their bio tells you everything about them, tells you what bills they support, talks about their staff, and really gives you all the information you need. You don't ever want to just show up at a legislator's office and hope that you know them. So you're really beginning to start to connect with them. And to me, I leave you a place that says where you can find your representative and who they are. And so you may want to pick somebody local. Some of you from LA, some of you from Sacramento, wherever you're from, and pick one of your local legislators. That's fine. And then you have to start to prepare mentally what you're going to do with your 2 minutes, right? So the key is to get to know them a little bit. And in that 2 minutes, you're going to kick in a couple things. So let me come back here and quit sharing my screen. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if that document came up. I'll send it to you. Sorry, but basically, it's a 3-page document, how to be an advocate, right? So you can look at that, but really your assignment is to select a legislator and give some facts about them. What bills have they passed? Where are they from? What do they do? So let me pick one for you. I'll take Patrick O'Donnell is the Assemblyman and Education Chair from Long Beach. He's also been very passionate about career tech ed and what he does to support that. He was a teacher for 20 years. He has a couple kids. He lives down in Long Beach. He surfs. He's trying to bring surf into Long Beach. So if you know, Long Beach is the big port, and he's trying to bring in surfing back there, make the waves in there. It's one of his things. So he's Irish. I've seen him run meetings multiple times. Patrick O'Donnell's Irish, obviously. I've heard his brother speak before. But within his bio, you guys are going to go, you can go into their sites and you just Google them and start to learn more about them and what their passion is. And so that's your homework assignment, is to pick a legislator, give me some background details of what you've learned about them, what you've Googled, anything from their staff, maybe some bills that they passed. Patrick's been around a little while. I think he's on his 6th or 7th or 8th year. Others are rookies. So just give me a host of fact sheets about your legislature who you're going to present to, okay? So that's the gist of your assignment. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to Google around, right? And then, let me get to so your assignment is really to find your legislator, get some facts, start setting the table for what you're going to sell. And then here's the great stuff, you guys. So next week, I'd like to host a Zoom call Tuesday night from 7 to 8. I have 3 people who are lobbyists, or one's a career tech director, one's a lobbyist, and one's an advocate. And we're going to talk to you for about a half hour, 45 minutes on how they prepare people or themselves to do a 2-minute presentation to a legislature. All these people have helped me do that and vice versa. So relax. They're going to teach you some good tricks of the trade. You're going to take your notes. You're going to be able to say what you're working on. We'll have an interactive time. We'll probably go from about 7 to 8. I don't think we'll go past 8. We might. But you'll be able to ask questions of them. And, you know, they will tell you they've done great, they failed, they're really interactive. And then that gives you samples, momentum to do your 2-minute video, right? So basically your 2-minute video is like I'm doing right now, pretending you're talking to your legislator you picked, and give your best 2 minutes, right? It is okay, you guys, to not have it too scripted. So if you need to read notes, that's fine. I think legislators and myself like people who are a little nervous. They're not like pros, they're not the lobbyists, they're real people. So you're okay having a script. You don't want to read it like this verbatim. You want to interact with the person. I throw in, remember, tell a little bit about your story and why you want to do it. And then maybe something personal for them, like if I was doing something like a career tech proposal to Patrick O'Donnell, I said, Mr. O'Donnell, I would really, I know you're very interested in surfing and the ocean and our career pathways in oceanography. We can put it to high schools if you support my bill, right? So those are the type of things you do. With that being said, I hope you are still awake and appreciate talking to you. Again, looking forward to the next week plus with you. Again, it's up to you guys to communicate to me. I'll send some updates to you on your grades and how you're doing and where you're behind. But I'm always here to help you. You can email me on the Sac State email, or please use a text. I'll be kicking back all weekend for the 4th, and it's going to bring out the little flag for you. Want to wish you a happy 4th, and stay safe and wear a mask. Take care.